Joe Manchin was just out with a big announcement on the stimulus package, exactly as we anticipated. Let's get into it and talk about what Joe Manchin just had to say. But really quickly, thank you so much for watching. If you're new here or if you haven't done so yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button right down below the video, as it's totally free to do so, and I am here for you every single day, bringing all the latest updates as well as maintaining my commitment to you and this community as a whole, which is to help you out in any way that I possibly can. All right, thank you so much. Subscribe down below and let's get into this right away. All right, so if you happen to catch my video from just a few hours ago, in that video I said at some point this afternoon, Joe Manchin will be out with an announcement on the stimulus package and how we're going to proceed going forward with this big thing. Well, he was out. Shortly after I published that video, sure enough, he was out with his announcement, and we have all of that information right here. All right, so stick with me through this because we have a lot to talk about, and there may actually be a pretty nice silver lining with everything going down right here. All right, so Joe Manchin was out, and he said he will not be supporting this $1.75 trillion reconciliation bill in its current state. He also went on to say he will not support this $1.75 trillion bill and this bill that is this consequential without understanding the impacts to the national debt, the economy, and most importantly, the American people. So, this is actually a huge blow to basically the Democratic Party and progressives, mostly the progressives, simply because they are the ones who have been hammering down so much lately, calling on Joe Manchin to actually pass this stimulus package and to come forward with all of this and actually show his support and basically show us your hand. Well, guess what? Joe Manchin just showed us his hand. He is not going to support this thing as it currently sits right now. So, as we've been mentioning through the last couple days here, progressives had planned on bringing those packages to the floor sometime this week for the votes. I don't know about that anymore, okay? Based on everything that just happened a little while ago, it may not be looking so good as far as the votes coming this week. Now again, things can change very rapidly. They could come on Wednesday and bring the packages to the floor for a vote. Remember that. Anything can change at any given time. Just because a politician says something doesn't mean it's actually going to happen, right? I mean, we've seen this so many times over the last year and a half that we've been following this. Just because they say it, just because they tell us they're going to vote on it, just because they tell us they're not going to support it, does not really mean anything until we actually see it happening, right? So, we've seen that a number of different times. However, there may actually be a silver lining behind this. Let me tell you quickly a little bit further about what Joe Manchin said, and then we can talk about a potential silver lining with all of this going down. So, Joe Manchin also continued on, and he called on progressives to pass the $1.2 trillion bipartisan bill. This is the one that was passed through the Senate about 2 months ago. So he called on progressives, get it done, because holding it the way that they are right now is not going to force Joe Manchin to vote for the reconciliation bill. In other words, there's no reason to continue holding it like they're doing because it's not going to force him to vote for the reconciliation bill. In other words, just get it done already, right? So that would be one thing that they could absolutely get done right away. They could pass it. It's just a matter of bringing it to the floor. Nancy Pelosi can do that in the House, vote it through, pass it, and then send it on to the president as it's already done in the Senate. So, kind of interesting how Joe Manchin came out and brought all this to us. However, I'm guessing some of you are probably thinking, we're so mad right now. But here's the thing. Don't be that upset. Here's why. Let's talk through this a little bit further for just a minute. Over the last few days here, we've been going through the framework of this $1.75 trillion reconciliation bill that was originally introduced by the president almost a week ago. Well, now that we have the official text on this thing and everything that's within it, as we look at this bill, can all of us probably agree that there's not a whole lot in there for the people? You know, since we got this whole framework mid last week, looking through it, there's not much in there for the people. In fact, I think a lot of us can probably agree that there's really only a few provisions within it for the American people. Other than that, it's not a whole lot for the people in there. So, even after that framework was released, a lot of people were saying this does not encompass a lot for the American people. We need to change that. So, some of the silver linings could be, now that Joe Manchin has kind of put his foot down on this thing, we may actually be able to go back to the drawing table on this and actually make it more people-focused. a little bit more focused around the American people. Because remember, that statement out of Joe Manchin said, he will not vote for a bill this consequential unless or until they thoroughly understand the impacts to the national debt, the economy, and most importantly, the people. Therefore, maybe we can add some provisions in there to make this more about the people. Remember, this bill originally started out as an anti-poverty plan. Well, it went from an anti-poverty plan to a climate bill, right? That's essentially what happened to it throughout the progression of the negotiations. They literally whittled the thing down to make it basically no longer an anti-poverty plan, right? And that's what it originally was being sold to us as an anti-poverty plan. So I think a lot of us at this point, looking at this package and thinking, over the last week or so, we've been looking at this package saying, there's nothing in here for us. What is in this bill for us? And meanwhile, a couple weeks ago, Nancy Pelosi, Bernie Sanders, and a few other people were blaming the media and the American people for not knowing what is in this package. Well, yeah, not only do we not know what's in it, but not supporting it. Well, it's kind of hard to support something so much when we don't know what's in there, for number one. And number two, if there's nothing in there for us, why do we really care? You know what I mean? So hopefully this will force them to come back to the drawing table a little bit and actually turn this back into the anti-poverty plan it was supposed to be in the first place, right? So at the end of the day, I know it's frustrating, I know it's confusing, but realistically, if this $1.75 trillion package passed in its current state right now, I think a lot of us would still be sitting here thinking, okay, great, they just passed $1.75 trillion of spending, but what did we get out of it? And I think, unfortunately, a lot of us would still be sitting here empty hands, empty pockets, and empty bank accounts. I think that's the case that we'd be dealing with. However, maybe now that Joe Manchin has actually put his foot down on this thing, they can actually go back and rework the actual original framework of this bill, which is anti-poverty. That's the whole purpose of the plan in the first place. And unfortunately, over the course of time, it turned into, it's not so much an anti-poverty plan, right? So anyway, this may actually be a good thing when it comes to Joe Manchin. Now again, I just want to make it very clear. I'm not taking sides. I'm not saying that I agree or disagree with Joe Manchin. I'm simply just saying this may be a good thing in disguise. Even though it doesn't sound like it right now, it may actually be kind of a good thing. Of course, we don't know anything until we see the final details of everything as they start working their way through this again and start negotiating and start trying to figure out how they want to proceed from here. But it may not be such a bad thing after all, right? Either way, again, I'm not saying like, oh, I've been rooting for Joe Manchin. I'm not saying that, and I'm not saying that I agree or disagree with what he's doing. I'm simply just saying that it might be kind of a good thing. It might be, maybe, we don't know, right? But either way, we'll have to see how progressives respond to this. As of this recording, I haven't really seen any major responses out of progressives. I'm guessing they're probably not too happy right now. Let's just be real. They're probably not too happy, right? Kind of interesting stuff. All right, so anyway, I told you that I'd bring you that update as soon as Joe Manchin made that announcement. So we have that information out of him. So it's all back up in the air right now. Again, everything's back up in the air right now, but we're kind of backing up to some major deadlines coming in just a matter of a few weeks from right now. So we'll have to see what they do coming up to those. Also, one quick note here. In my last video that I brought to you just a few hours ago, I talked about that new cool thing out of Burger King, how they are actually going to be implementing some giveaways of crypto. Cool announcement. I talked to Corey, my wife, and I said, hey, honestly, we never do this. Honestly, never do this. But I was like, hey, let's go to Burger King tonight. So anyway, we're going to go to Burger King tonight, and I'm going to hopefully grab a little bit of video of us doing that, and hopefully we'll get something cool as far as the crypto giveaway. We'll have to see, but I'll give you a little bit update later, provided how that goes. We'll have to see, but I'm hoping that we can get some kind of cool crypto giveaway as a result of us ordering from Burger King. Honestly, like I said, we'd never do this. I can't tell you the last time I've eaten at Burger King. It's been years, probably 20 years ago. I'm just being real. Probably 15 years ago was the last time I ate at Burger King. Anyway, it might be kind of fun. So we'll check it out, and I'll let you know later how that whole thing goes. But anyway, wanted to give you a quick update on this. Again, this is out of Joe Manchin, the latest announcements, what he had to say on the stimulus package. And once again, we're kind of back at the drawing table. But hopefully they'll draw some more things in there as we're kind of seeing the economic growth slowing down here as a result of the latest economic data And again, we all know stimulus checks are generally sent out as a result of slowing economic data because they want us to go out and spend that money, right? Stimulate the economy. That's what they want us to do with it. So maybe, just maybe, there might be something coming out. We'll have to see. Either way, hope this helps you out. Again, subscribe down below. It's totally free to do so. I'm here for you every single day with all of the latest updates as they're being released, and I'm here for you as your one and only daily advocate, as I know things are changing and it's very confusing to stay tuned with everything going on and to keep track of everything. But don't worry, you don't need to do that. I do it for you. So again, enjoy your day, subscribe down below, and go back and check out some of the other videos right here on the channel.